The restaurant manager's words cut through the ambient chatter like a guillotine. "I'm sorry, but we need to escort your daughter out. She's been impersonating our staff." Every head at my parents' table swiveled toward me, their eyes wide with a mixture of shock and cruel fascination. I stood frozen, a tray of bruschetta balanced in my hands, my white apron suddenly feeling like a convict's uniform. My father rose, his face a mask of theatrical outrage. "We are so embarrassed," he announced to the entire dining section. "Our daughter, Maya, is a fraud." My mother couldn't even look at me, her gaze fixed on her napkin as if wishing herself invisible. I'm Maya Chen, 24 years old, a recent business school graduate, and in that moment, serving canapés at the upscale Bella Vista, I became the living embodiment of my parents' greatest shame. Let me rewind. My parents exist in a world of curated perfection, country club memberships, charity galas, and relentless social climbing. My graduation from a good business school was meant to be their final trophy, the key to my seamless entry into a corner office they could boast about at dinner parties. Instead, I made the unforgivable choice to be practical. Burdened with student loans and driven by a desire for real-world experience, I took a part-time job as a server at Bella Vista, a restaurant whose elegance matched my parents' tastes, but whose employee roster, they believed, was beneath their family station. What they never understood was that for me, the restaurant wasn't a dead end. It was a live case study. While they saw a uniform, I saw supply chain logistics, customer relationship management, and revenue optimization in action. The night of their business dinner, I was simply doing my job. I didn't know they had reservations. The moment my father's booming voice identified me, "What is our daughter doing dressed like that?" The carefully constructed facade of their world cracked open. My mother's frantic whispers to their associates, insisting I was playing dress-up, were a desperate attempt to seal it back up. When the manager confirmed I was indeed a valued employee, their horror was palpable. The disgust in my father's eyes as he hissed, "You're a fraud, lying about your real job," wasn't about deception, it was about my rejection of their script. In their eyes, my honest work was a lie, and the life they wanted to fabricate for me was the truth. The exclusion that followed was methodical. I was disinvited from my cousin's wedding because my parents had no respectable answer to the question, "What does Meyer do?" They invented a story about me finding myself in Europe, deciding fictional unemployment was nobler than factual employment. At a family barbecue, my uncle's joke, "Maya still playing restaurant games instead of using her degree," was met with hearty laughter, orchestrated by my father's follow-up, "Some people never learn the difference between real work and pretend work." I stood holding a platter of food for them, the literal help in their narrative, burning with a quiet fury. The ultimatum came shortly after. They offered to pay for an image consultant and a proper wardrobe if I would quit my jobs and take an administrative position at my father's friend's firm, something respectable, my father clarified. When I refused, my mother's veneer of concern evaporated. "You're choosing to humiliate this family," she seethed. "Don't blame us when people look down on us because of you." That was the line that transformed my hurt into fuel. I began meticulously documenting every slight, every condescending remark, every act of exclusion. Their words, intended to belittle, became the blueprint for my resolve. What my parents, in their towering snobbery, failed to see was the rest of my life. The Bella Vista apron was only one costume. By night, I was a freelance business consultant, analyzing market trends and advising small startups. My restaurant wages, combined with my consulting fees, were being funneled into a savings account with a balance that would have stunned them. More importantly, for 2 years, I had been working quietly with my former professor, Dr. Lena Sharma, on a comprehensive business plan. We had identified a unique opportunity in the hospitality sector, the potential acquisition of a stable, well-located restaurant with room for experiential growth. The target, ironically, was Bella Vista. The aging owner was looking to retire, seeking a buyer who valued the establishment's legacy while understanding its modern potential. As I quietly assembled the financing, my family's dismissal of me became absolute. I overheard the final nail in the coffin of our relationship. My mother's declaration, she wants to be a servant, she can live like one, followed by my father's decision to formally cut me out of their will. The official disinheritance letter arrived on a Wednesday. The sale of Bella Vista was finalized the very next day. 3 months later, my parents chose to host their 30th anniversary dinner at the very same restaurant. The irony was almost too perfect. This time, I entered not through the staff entrance, but through the front door. I was wearing a bespoke charcoal suit, my hair pulled back in a sleek knot. I carried no tray, only a leather portfolio. The maitre d', who had once been my shift supervisor, nodded to me with a respectful smile and led me to their table. Their expressions cycled through confusion, annoyance, and then dawning incredulous horror as I approached. "Maya, what are you doing here?" my father asked, his voice tight. "We didn't invite you." "Actually, I invited you as my guests." I let the silence hang for a beat before continuing. "I'm the new owner of Bella Vista." The gasps from their friends were audible. My mother's hand flew to her throat. My father sputtered, "Don't be absurd. You can't afford this." Every tip I earned here, every consulting fee I saved, every time you told me my work was pretend, I was investing in something real, I explained, handing my business card to the stunned guest at the table's end. Maya Chen, proprietor and CEO, Bella Vista Restaurant Group. "You called me a fraud for serving tables," I said, looking directly at my parents, "but I was learning the business from the ground up. You were ashamed of me working the floor. Now I own the building." The rest of their anniversary dinner passed in a surreal haze for them. I didn't have them ejected. I didn't comp their meal. I simply instructed the staff to provide exemplary service, the kind of service I once was proud to give, and I returned to my office overlooking the dining room. The ultimate power move wasn't a dramatic revenge. It was the quiet demonstration of my absolute authority in a space where they tried to strip me of all dignity. I allowed them to sit in the crushing weight of their own miscalculation, to eat their celebration meal under the roof I owned, served by the staff I managed. Later, as they left without a word to me, their silence was no longer a weapon I feared. It was the sound of my own liberation. They had equated worth with title and perception. I had built mine on foundation, grit, and a vision they were too short-sighted to see. The girl they called a fraud in front of an audience now held the deed to the stage. And the final, sweetest justice was that I no longer needed a single word of their approval to enjoy the view.